All right, welcome back to my channel. My name is Courtni Allison, and I am a breathwork facilitator, as well as a nervous system coach and a mind, body, spirit release practitioner. So I am all about the emotional healing world, but also how our body connects to that emotional space and how they work synergistically together. So for this video, we are going to be doing something called lung stretching. Now, this is a precursor exercise that I like to do to what I call the perfect breath. And that perfect breath is a breath that I utilize within my own life and also a breath that I utilize with my clients. And so with this perfect breath, I like to start with lung stretching. And this is a really, really important exercise that we can start our day with to really bring emphasis, bring focus to what's going on inside of our physical body with our breathing. And to our physical body, breath is life, right? Like breath is literally everything. We can only go a few minutes without breathing. A few minutes, like if you're lucky, right? It's more like a few seconds. So the way we live our life and the health of our physical body, but also our emotional body, is very, very dependent on this very act of breathing. So it is very important that the way we breathe, the quality of our breath, is going to act as this connection point to the physical health of our body. So the way we breathe in our lungs is going to send messages to our nervous system. It's sending messages to our vital organs. It's sending messages of how the blood should flow, how our lymph should move, right? How the energy should move through our system. So every single part of our body, our physical body, is vitalized by the oxygen being brought in by our breath, right? And we take thousands and thousands of breaths every single day. So this is why breath is life, and the quality of our breath determines thus the quality of our health. Our breath and our health are just as intertwined as you can get, okay? So when we think about our breath and why this lung stretching exercise that I'm going to teach you here is so important, is so incredible, is our breath is linked up to the circulation of our blood, right? And it's this blood that is going to all the different parts of our body, right? It's going to all our organs, it's going to our muscles, it's going to our nervous system, it's going to our brain. And the nutrients found in this blood is what helps heal, right? It's what helps revitalize cells. It's what helps all of the processes in our body to work as they should, right? It carries these life-giving properties to every single aspect of our body. As it returns to our heart, right? So the blood goes out and then it has to come back up, right? But it's carrying this waste as it comes back up to the heart to be kind of refiltered. And so the lungs is where this blood that has all this waste, the lungs is where this blood goes to, right? And so it goes to the lungs to be revitalized, essentially, right? So it goes into all the different parts of our lungs, all the capillaries and all the little parts of our lungs, so that it can be infused again and basically cleansed with the oxygen being held in our lungs with every breath that we take, right? So it comes into our lungs, the blood comes in, the oxygen from the breath that we're taking helps to cleanse the blood, and then it goes back to the heart, and then the heart pumps it back out, right, to the rest of our body, and so on and so forth, right? So with every new breath that we inhale, the oxygen of that air comes into contact with the waste material of the blood in the cells of our lungs, right? And so this is why the quality of our breath, how we breathe into our lungs, is going to play a massive role in the health of our body, because it's helping with that kind of transformation, right? That cleansing of the waste and giving those life-giving properties back to the blood to send back to the body again, right? So this process happens daily, right? Many times throughout the day. It actually, I think they found that it's about 35,000 pints of blood are carried through the capillaries of the lungs, which is 560,000 ounces of blood that goes through the lungs and is carried back to the body. Okay, so the quality of your blood is highly dependent upon the quality of your breath. This is why how we breathe, how we're circulating this breath through our body is going to play a huge role in your health. Okay, so why I lead with this is so that you can understand how we're going to start focusing on our breath is going to be so important to how that blood is cleansed. Okay, so the movement of our breath as it comes in, there should be three main focuses that you're bringing that breath into. Okay, now kind of in our modern day, there's a lot of stress going on. We're busy, we're chaotic. And in essence, a lot of us are just breathing very shallow, just into the top of our chest, right? And then when we're relaxed, most of us then hopefully are able to bring that breath deeper into our belly. But what I want you to understand is there's three main parts of your lungs and of your breath that we're going to be focusing on, especially with this lung stretching. And I bring the focus into these three parts every single morning, just to work on my lung capacity, just so I can start on a daily basis without thinking about it every day. It just becomes the natural ability, natural process of my body to be able to breathe to a bigger capacity, so I can bring more blood into all of those cells of my lungs. Okay, so we have kind of this upper lobe area of our lungs, and that's here kind of up in the chest, right? So when you're right, you can even like pant, you just feel it up here. That's the top part. Then we have these middle lobes, and this is more like kind of under that bra line, where your ribs are. Okay, that's where like the middle lobes hang out. And then we have down here, the diaphragm kind of belly area, you have those lower lobes. Okay, so upper, middle, and lower lobes. Now, with the lung stretching, and with, like I said, it's a precursor to the complete breath, we want there to be the focus of bringing breath into all three areas of the lungs, right? We want to use the full capacity of our lungs, because oxygen is getting into all those cells, and thus we want to bring as much blood into all of those lobes as well, right? But if we're only breathing up into our chest and we're not getting breath down into the belly or into that middle area, not as much blood is going to be able to be cleansed. And, and so that's why a lot of people are focusing on breathe into your belly. But we also want to be able to expand up here in the chest, right? So it's not just a focus on only the belly or only the upper part of our lobes. We really want there to be the focus of all three parts of the lobes, okay, of the lungs, which is why this lung stretching brings the focus into all three areas, okay? And this is why I do this every single morning, is to grow that capacity, to stretch my lungs, to stretch the muscles that are helping with the lung capacity, okay? So the ultimate goal of the lung stretching and the perfect breath is to obtain the maximum capacity of lung expansion, so that the greatest amount of oxygen is able to get to the entire lung, and thus, the better cleansing of the blood, okay? So that is, in essence, why the lung stretching is so vital, and why I do this every single morning is because I want to bring focus to that. I want to start stretching. It's just like a stretching of a muscle, stretching of any other part of your body, is we're just bringing more emphasis to that area so that the body can start to relax the muscles around that so that it can grow, so that it can expand naturally. Okay. So for the lung stretching, we're going to be focusing on those three areas that I just talked about, right? The higher part of the lungs, the middle, and then the lower. Okay. So let's get into the actual reason you're here is to do this exercise together. And again, this is something I do every morning. This is something that I teach my clients to do. And it's just a really great way for you to feel your breath and to be able to understand, where is my breath going? Okay. So for this exercise, we're going to start doing breaths in just the belly. And then we're going to bring up the focus of bringing as much of the breath focus into the chest or into the rib area. And then we're going to end it with bringing just as much focus to breathing just into the chest. Okay. And then we'll end it with a few, what I call the perfect breaths, where we're breathing in one inhale, we're breathing into the belly, the ribs, the chest. We hold it for a second, and then we exhale. Okay. This perfect breath is truly how our body should be breathing throughout the day, so that we're, again, getting that maximum capacity of lung expansion and oxygen, and that helps with the blood flow, right? And it helps with every single organ and system in our body. All right, so go ahead and get into a position that feels comfortable. This is something you can do seated. You can do this lying down. You can do this standing up. I have found that standing up allows for the greatest kind of capacity, especially for that lower part. But for purposes of this video, I'm going to do this seated. And right now, as I'm recording this, I'm 5 months pregnant, so it's a little harder for me to do this in the belly area, but I'm going to make it work. So just go ahead and find yourself in that position, whatever feels best for you today. And maybe one day it's seated, and then the next day you're like, I'm going to try it standing, or try it lying down, and just play around with what feels best for you. Okay. So wherever you find yourself at, just kind of take a moment to settle into that space. And whether you're standing, you're lying down, you're seated, you can do this with eyes closed. You can do this with eyes open and just kind of gaze around the room. Again, whatever feels best for you. Good. All right, so let's get started with the lung stretching, and we're going to start with the focus on the lower part. We're going to start with kind of that belly breathing. Okay, and so what you're going to do is you're going to take an inhale in through the nose, and then you can either exhale out the nose or exhale out the mouth. It doesn't matter either way, but your focused awareness of where you're drawing most of that breath is going to be deep down into the belly, right? It's like thinking of like, okay, we have those three lobes, and I'm just bringing as much air and expanding my body to make room for that air as possible. Okay. And we're just going to do 8 of these breaths in each section. Okay. And again, this is something that you can play around with as you do it yourself. You can do it for 5 rounds. You can do 10 breaths. You can do, 5 breaths and do it 5 different times. It's totally up to you how much you do this within yourself. Okay. So we're just going to do 1 round of 8 breaths for each. All right. So let's start focusing down here in the belly area. Okay. I'm going to kind of sit back a little bit just because that makes it easier for my pregnant belly to do this. So a nice deep breath in through the nose. And again, really bring as much of that air, pushing, expanding the belly out as you breathe in. In and out. We're doing 8. Expand. Drawing your focus down into the belly. Three more. One more. Good. Now we're gonna bring the focus up here into the ribs, okay? So you'll naturally feel that your belly will still expand. That's natural. But again, we wanna focus on bringing as much of that focus to the rib area. And I even like to put my hands on the ribs and just kind of like make sure I'm feeling my body expand and kind of push out in that area, okay? So again, 8 here. Let's begin. Nice deep inhale in through the nose and out. Really feel it there. I kind of even feel a stretch back in my lower back, which feels amazing. Four more. Here into the ribs. Two more. Last one. Good. So I'm just keeping my hands there so I can always feel like, okay, am I getting as much breath into that space as possible? Okay. Now the last lobe, the last kind of place here is that high part, right? So it's kind of here up in the chest. And again, this is an area where most of us spend our time breathing, and that's like we still want to get our breath to the upper, but again, we just want to make sure we're bringing it into all of the lobes. Okay, so again, I like to keep my hands here in my chest, and I really like to on this one kind of expand, kind of push my shoulders back so that my muscles aren't just like hunched over, they're actually getting that stretch as well, which helps your lobes of your lungs expand more, right? Like it's all about this muscle connection as well, okay? So let's do 8 here. Start with an inhale in through the nose. Really feel that stretch up there. Good. And lots of focus of the breath coming right up in here in the chest. But not in a shallow way. It's in a very expanded, increasing the capacity way, okay? 4 more. This one. Oh. All right, like I said, you can do that as many times as you need. You can do that for rounds, like do 5, 5, 5 and repeat that 3 times, you know, just kind of play around with your own form of that, okay? So then from there, after I do the lung stretching, I like to do like 3 or 5 of the perfect breaths. So now that we've stretched out the lungs, we're gonna bring our focus to the full, complete, perfect breath, okay? And so this is gonna look like 1 long inhale, not 3, but 1. But the focus is gonna start at, I'm gonna breathe first into the belly, and then I'm gonna draw that inhale up into the ribs, up into the chest. I'm gonna hold for a count, and then I'm gonna push that exhale out, nice and long, okay? So let's do 5 here together, okay? So start with a nice deep inhale, starting at the nose, but take it nice and slow so that you can really focus on all 3 parts of this breath, okay? So inhale into the belly, chest, hold, and now you kind of feel everything fall back in as you push out, okay? You can even like squeeze those belly muscles back in, like you're bringing your belly button to spine, okay? And again, belly, ribs, chest, hold, exhale, okay? 3 more. More. Last one. Belly, ribs, chest. Hold. Exhale. Good. So this is lung stretching and also the perfect breath. So start your day with this, end your day with this. Do this as many times throughout the day that you can bring into your day as possible. And it's only going to help increase that lung capacity. It's going to help cleanse the blood even more and really kickstart some really incredible health effects, but it's also helping your nervous system, which in effect helps your emotional world as well. It's all related. Okay, so I hope this video was helpful for you. Please let me know in the comments if you do this and how this feels for you. Let me know if you have any questions. And if you would love more breath work, learning about breath work, learning about why it's so important, learning different tools and different patterns and all of that, I have a very, very well-rounded, complete breathwork course called Elevate. And this is my big breathwork course where I teach you everything about breathwork in your physical body, about your mental body, about your emotional body. We do lots of breathwork together in that, as well as teaching modules. It's really, really an incredible course that I have created. And you can find the link for that down below as well. So please check that out if you're interested in learning more about breathwork. All right, that is it for now. Take care, and we'll talk soon.